elsewhere. Are you replicating any models that you've done maybe in Asia and bringing that here to Africa when we think about this collective action?
We are not trying to replicate, but we are learning from other experiences, right? It happens we are a little bit unusual in the sense that our second largest market in the world after the US is China. And the third one is India. And I had the privilege personally to be part of the small team that started both operations. What I can see is that in both of those operations, what we do is largely specific because the ecosystem, the technology is different, are different. The culture of developing business is different. I happen also to be working in Africa 25 years ago, and I created most of the offices here in sub-Saharan Africa. And my engagement with the teams here, with our local teams, is to say, think really local. And think according to the priorities of the place and the way of doing. And we're going to develop technologies. Some of them will be international if they adapt, but the priority will be to deploy local technologies in Africa, for Africa, with local partners. And when we speak about local industrialization, our priority is not to do by ourselves. We have factories on the continent. But it's more so to work together with partners so that they can develop their local production. Their local engineering, their local project management. That's how we work in China, in India, and how we work here in Africa, in the multiple countries where we are.
What does that mean for the partners that you're looking for, especially when you think about maximizing the value regionally, not just at the local level?
Look, I don't think you can do anything alone. We are by nature, we are a tech company. But that tech is only a minimal value of the systems we are providing, like the largest data centers in the world, or the largest refineries, or the electrical grids, and so on. So what we want is to collaborate with local actors so that we innovate together, we co-innovate, and we put at their disposal all the stacks of innovation, from products to control systems to software to AI modules, so that they can be developed really here according to the specificities of the country. I think there is one point we shouldn't miss, but I don't want to start talking about it because then I will.
You can talk about it really quick.
Data centers. So I'll come back to that afterwards if you give me the opportunity.
You just wanted to say data centers.
More data centers. This is what I wanted to say.
Well, and we can come back to that in a bit, because that really does require energy, as you were mentioning, but also a number of partners in order to actually galvanize the capital to make it happen and to actually get things off the ground. Ethiopius, jump in here, because this shared value as a concept is one thing. Practically speaking, are we seeing it successfully working on the continent? I mean, I think of Libido Corridor potentially as an example of one, but when we think about the private sector, what is a model that maybe we should look to?
So I actually think the shared opportunity we have is the demographics on the continent. We have both the workforce of the future as well as the marketplace of the future. Right? The numbers are quite telling. And I think the shared opportunity for us is creating jobs for this demographic, both because they are going to be the workforce, but also because it gives them the means to actually be a marketplace worth pursuing. And as Jean-Pascal has said, energy is critical to that, right? So we have to look at what is foundational to job creation. And without energy, there is no development. And we have to think about it not simply in terms of electrification of individuals, but also power to industry. But then the other thing you need to think about, and you're alluding to this, as you're creating jobs, you need to be able to connect people and businesses to markets and markets to markets. And that requires physical infrastructure, like the Lobito corridor, like the ports we're working on, like airports, but also digital infrastructure. Because today, when you get connected to the world, to markets, it requires a digital connection. And then I think we really should be focusing on those sectors that are going to create jobs. For us, a huge part of the shared opportunity that we're going to be pursuing with the private sector is around agriculture. Some of it's going to be around SME finance, given that 80 to 90% of jobs in any marketplace are created by SMEs. Critical minerals and mining, obviously an area of keen interest. Health and tourism, and then value-add manufacturing. But as Jean-Pascal has said, all of this can't be pursued by us alone. We really need partners, like the partners we have on this dais here, and like many of the people in this room. This is something that's going to require, again, a collective effort. We're looking for people to help us to take advantage of what we see as a shared opportunity when it comes to the African demographic.
Marianne, as the SME here again, I'm sorry to keep alluding to that, but Ethiopius is talking there about the opportunity for different sectors. Agriculture obviously touches potentially some of the sectors that you are a part of. Are you able to access some of the capital that is being channeled to some of these projects? How are you finding it from your perspective? What are the challenges maybe, and how do we move forward from that?
Before I respond to accessing capital, let me just say thank you to Schneider, and because the cost of power in Egypt is 0.03 cents. The cost of power in Kenya is 0.18 US cents, which makes it very difficult for the Kenyan market to be able to compete in manufacturing or in any other sector that requires energy with countries such as Egypt. So just stabilizing those costs really will help economies grow. Now, moving to capital, there's no shortage of capital, as has been said earlier, and we've heard it before.
Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Council. Jacqueline Ngutia, welcome and all the best.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Wakili. Caroline Zilani, Commissioner. You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Afternoon, Wakili. Charity Kisotwa, Commissioner. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
Good morning. Good afternoon, sorry.
This afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Omwanzo Mbati, karibu.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Council.
Good afternoon, my Lord.
Anthony Marima, welcome.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Wakili.
Good afternoon, my lady.
Fatuma Sichale, karibu sana.
Thank you, asante.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Honorable Commissioner.
You're welcome. My name is Olwande Evelyn.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioners, for that introduction. Wakili, if you could start by telling us your county and your ethnicity.
Thank you very much, my lady. I come from Siaya County. I am Luo by ethnicity.
Very well. We'll start the interview. We like our candidates to relax, and because we want to get the very best out of you. Even the water in front of you is yours. You can sip if you want. If you could start by telling us your key competencies and how you intend to bring them to bear to this position of a judge of Environment and Land Court. You could also tell us what you envisage to be the responsibilities of a judge of ELC. You have 5 minutes to do that summary.
Thank you very much, my lady, Chief Justice. My lady, to the Environment and Land Court, I look forward to bringing 5 key competencies. The first one, my lady, is my dual expertise, both in environment sector and in the land sector. Secondly, my lady, is to bring in professional competence backed by the right academic rigor. My lady, I'm also bringing a deep commitment to public service. I am bringing on good communication skills and good leadership skills, my lady, in terms of integrity, impartiality, and independence. On my dual expertise, my lady, on the environment front, having been the secretary at the Environment Tribunal from 2019, my lady, I do not only bring dispute resolution in environment sector, I also bring representation of this country at international fora, at the regional level as well, where I was in a 4-year task force from the AU and we came up with the regional ocean governance strategy, and also locally in a number of task forces. My lady, what is my value proposition in environment? To bring in new and emerging expertise. This, for instance, in the area of nature rights, in the area of climate justice, in the area of ecocide, defending human rights defenders, and environmental social governance, commonly known as ESG. As regards land, my lady, I have worked with the National Land Commission from its inception. This, my lady, has allowed me not only to have dispute resolution in terms of land, but to be in the process of alienation of land in this country. My lady, I have reviewed how land is lost, whether by administrative lapses or by fraudulent actions. I have seen the human face of dispossession of land in this country. I have also been able to see the joy in Wanjiko's face when their land has been given back to them. And I have also been able to be in land reform. So what is my value proposition in the land department? My lady, it is for us as part of the judiciary to give answer to the land question. For a very long time in this country, we've dealt with the land question. It is about time our children got the land answer. As regards my professional competence, my lady, I am an advocate of the High Court, I'm a chartered arbitrator, I'm a certified mediator, and also a certified secretary. This professional competence, my lady, is backed by my academic qualification, which is in 2 bachelor's degrees, which I did concurrently at the University of Nairobi in law and in finance. I also bring 2 master's degrees, which I also did concurrently by pushing myself, my lady, to be able to accomplish them in 2 years in diplomacy, and public policy. I have 2 public postgraduate diplomas, and I'm also currently undertaking my research. My lady, what is this evidence of and the value proposition? Hard work. I have followed the interviews, my lady. I know you want a hard worker and a tractor, as you sometimes put it. And this, my academic pushing, is evidence that I will come and bring hard work. This competence, my lady, has also been recognized, first, by His Excellency, the President of this country, by giving me the Order of Grand Warrior. The head of public service has, in November last year, also awarded me with the award of financial propriety, an award that he has also been able to give me. The judiciary, my lady, has also seen my achievements in the year 2019-2020, when the tribunal that I had was ranked as the best environment tribunal. But my most notable achievement, my lady, is in the Kilimanjaro movement. This movement is a coming together of rural women from across 20 African countries. They came together to be able to have a charter of demands, to be able to at least get a land title. They were able to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and they presented their charter of demands. I was a part of this process as a facilitator, and the African Union recognized them. This has been my best achievement so far in the environment and land sector. My lady, I also bring to the fore good communication skills, both in writing and oral. I do believe that a good judge should be able to have good communication skills in English, na pia kwa Kiswahili, Jaji Mkuu. Naweza nikajieleza vizuri sana, na uwezo huu umenisaidia sana haswa katika jopo la kitaifa la mazingira, ambapo mara mingi wateja wetu hawana wakili ama hawaelewi Kizungu. Kwa hivyo nimekuwa mkalimani mara kwa mara kutafsiri Kiingereza na Kiswahili. Na pia katika tume la kitaifa la mashamba, mara nyingi tunaenda kufanya kazi na watu katika vijiji vidogo vidogo. Katika hafla ile kuwahamasisha watu, saa zingine ni vizuri kuongea kwa Kiswahili ili kuelewa zile haki za mashamba ambazo zimekiukwa. My commitment to public service, my lady, is also very deep. 20 years, I have worked in most places in this country. I have interacted with very many cultural ethnicities in this country as well. I understand Kenya. Having worked at the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, my lady, I headed a team that collected over 42,000 statements to be able to understand the plight of Kenyans. As the head of the legal department, my lady, we were able to process all this, and this was the success of the TJRC, or the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission. My lady, as a leader, I also bring integrity, impartiality, and independence. I can be firm and courteous, my lady, and integrity is the bedrock of my professional identity.
Very well, very impressive communication in Kiswahili. I will now hand you over to Commissioner Mwanza to carry on with the next set of questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, my lady. Wakili, I wanted to know whether, in terms of historical land injustices, there is a time limit, whether they are time bound.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner, the issue of historical land injustices as provided for by the Constitution and the resolution is a constitutional provision, which means it's a constitutional demand. However, the National Land Commission Act, in its promulgation, gave it a 5-year statutory timeline. This, Commissioner, has of course been challenged by the National Land Commissioner. However, given the recent amendments in the year 2025, again, the executive timed this provision. My Lord, Commissioner, I am aware that the courts have indicated that this timing of this provision is unconstitutional because the Constitution provides for an unlimited function of historical land injustices resolution.
So then what happens in terms of statute that has timed when these disputes or these issues can be resolved? In statute, there is a time, and then there is a declaration of unconstitutionality by Justice Mwita. In the Constitution, there is no time limit. So if such a case is presented before NLC, would they proceed?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner, rightfully saying we are guided by the Constitution, and any other statute that is contrary to the Constitution is constitutional. To make this even better, the courts have been able to declare any timing to be unconstitutional. Commissioner, I'd now reckon that it is a job of the Kenya Law Reform Commission and the Attorney General to be able to then amend and correct this position of the unconstitutionality of the recent amendments to the National Land Commission Act.
Okay. Now, in terms of the jurisdiction of the ELC, it's set out in statute. Now, one of the resources we have as Kenya is the coastal ecosystem, where we have coastal reefs, mangroves, and marine biodiversity. Would cases that involve such resources that extend to the sea, like coral reefs, mangrove, seagrass, and marine biodiversity, be an issue that the ELC can have jurisdiction?
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner, rightfully, the ELC jurisdiction is exclusive and is particular to environment and land. Commissioner, Article 60 and 61 delineates what is public land. And similarly, Article 162, 2B of the Constitution highlights that any matter that relates to the use, occupation, or title to land is a preserve of the exclusive jurisdiction of the ELC. Article 61 goes ahead to highlight continental shelf, the marine seas, to be part of public land. To that extent, and given also the exclusive jurisdiction as highlighted in the case of Karisa Chengo, Commissioner, I would indicate that a case or a dispute emanating from the coastal ecosystem would be something, a matter that could be entertained at the Environment and Land Court.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Justice Ishari.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Justice. Ms. Akello,
Yes, my lady.
The Land Control Act, Chapter 302 of the Laws of Kenya, is indeed an old statute. I'm sure you are aware of the provisions of Section 6 thereof that provide that any transaction touching on agricultural land requires the consent of the Land Control Board. In your own view, why do you think we have such a provision in our law?
Thank you very much, my lady. My lady, the requirement for getting the land consent from the Land Control Board truly emanates from the Land Control Act, and truly, like you say, this is a 1967 act. The intention at that time, my lady, was that Kenya was predominantly an agricultural country, and agriculture was our mainstay. So the intention of that statute, my lady, was that it will be able small as 40 by 80.
So we haven't dealt with the question of minimum acreages and maximum acreages.
Exactly, my lady, though it's provided for in the Land Act.
In the interest of time, so let's go to the other reason why you thought it was important to have the Land Control Act. So one was to, of course, check the subdivisions into portions that become uneconomical.
Yes. The second reason I'd say it's still necessary is to be able to control foreign ownership. Whereas I know we have
provided... Does the Constitution deal with that issue of foreign ownership?
Yes, my lady. At Article 65, it provides for the limitation of the foreign ownership.
So why then would you say then that we still need the provisions of Section 6 of the Land Control Act? If it has taken care of that, the Constitution has taken care of that aspect of foreigners not owning land in this country.
My lady, whereas Article 165 limits the tenure they can hold as foreigners,
yes,
it does not limit the ownership or total ownership of foreigners on agricultural land. And given the expense and the type of environment in agricultural land, I'll take an example of maybe what Kajiado County. This is still an area where we're having conservations coming in. I think it is still important that we still do not have that agricultural land taken over by foreigners.
Fair enough. So you've given us two reasons why we should still maintain that provision.
The third one,
yes,
sorry, my lady.
Yes.
The third reason I would give, my lady, is to be able to have also the information and consent of family members. Given the level of land fraud in this country, the requirement that all family members are aware of a transaction,
particularly... Does the requirement that one must get spousal consent take care of that in a land transaction?
Spousal consent is, yes, that does take care of it. But for just for agricultural land, my lady, if you do permit me, I'd say that it is still important that the rest of the family, other than the spouses, are also aware, because the consent process, as it is given a time period through which...
Thank you, Honorable Chief Justice and Counsel. Let me start by getting a clarification. Yes. When you are being engaged on the issue of unconstitutionality of timelines in respect of historical land injustices, you rightly pointed out that that has been declared unconstitutional by a court. But you went ahead and brought in the AG. Can I understand how the AG comes in?